Welcome to the Alarmists, Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. Today we have an amazing episode with two of the most prominent people in the equestrian world, Christina Tobacco Weber and Deborah Flynn. And they're going to come on today and talk about what's going on in the equestrian world. We all know that because of COVID-19 and this pandemic that the Hampton Classic was canceled, and that there have been many barns that have been affected by this horrible disease, and we're going to get into the issues. Now, we're going through a really, this is probably the biggest change in my life that I've experienced in all my years. And I know that because of Sky Acres and a gentleman named Michelle Palacci, who brought Deborah Flynn to my attention, that there's been a horrible effect on many barn owners and many equestrian owners of stables and horses that has stopped the industry in its tracks. And
Absolutely.
I know that Deborah Flynn tried to help people by creating a fundraiser. And I know that Christina, you're very active in everything that happens in this industry on Long Island. So Christina, why don't you start the conversation off and tell us, over these last 6 months, what you have seen and what are the challenges that you're dealing with?
Well, the horse industry on Long Island is already under a lot of pressure just due to the value of the land on Long Island. Many backyard barn owners, it's with a lot of open space being taken over for homes and developments. As we all know, people have been leaving Long Island, and so there's fewer and fewer barns in the area that people can board their horses on, and certainly even less that people can come and take public lessons. So there's that. That's been going on for decades. When COVID happened back in March, many of the barns were told that they had to shut their lesson businesses down, and they weren't allowing their boarders, who are people that own horses and keep them at boarding stables, and they kind of rent the stall and services from the barn owner. They weren't allowed on as well. And most barns run break even when it comes to lessons and boarding. Barns in general make their money on leasing horses and sales. So when COVID hit and they were told no lessons and boarders were panicking and pulling out, it really hit these barns hard, right in the pocketbook. And people don't get into this game, this industry, because they want to make money. The joke is, if you want to make $1 million in the horse world, start with 2 million. So and we get into this because we love horses in a crazy way, where it's
then enter Deborah Flynn, who started a little Facebook GoFundMe page. And I hear from trainer Patty Messina, who said to me through Michelle Palacci over at Sky Acres, she said to me, Jesse, we're trying to raise money. And I said, what's going on? And she started to tell me, here, being the show is Conspiracy Theories and Coffee, I couldn't believe my ears that this was no conspiracy theory, that a lot of barn owners were being forced to bring their school horses to auction. They call it the killer auction in Pennsylvania. Deborah, can you share some light on what happened and how this all came about in terms of our connecting with each other, what the result was?
Well, as Christina stated, there are many barns that do lessons and do boarding and so on and so forth. When this COVID hit, it was catastrophic to them. Absolutely. There was no lesson money coming in. The boarders were not seeing their horses, so they weren't so sure they were going to keep paying. So the barn owners and the trainers were basically had the rug pulled out from underneath them. They had no income. So who suffers? The school horses. And that's what I started the whole fundraiser about. My initial idea was to have this nice little exchange where I get donations, I buy hay, people could come and take whatever they needed. And in a week, it had morphed into thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in need. So once again, I had to change a little bit of my focus, and I started sending out more and more requests And we got, after the Newsday article, and
Well, explain what happened. Explain what happened. I heard from Deborah, and I said, from Patty Messina, and I said, let me do, I could donate, my kids could donate, my wife could donate, but really, we can do much more. And being a journalist and being, I have that resource, I said, this is something that, people were so tired every day. There was the Trump briefings, and there was the same story. The infections were getting higher and higher. I felt like here's another humanitarian story that people can do something to feel good. And at that time, and even now, anything that makes us feel good is something that we should know about. So I called up Newsday, I called up News 12, and I called up Page 6 at the New York Post, and all of them published stories. And what happened after that? We had what, $600 in there, and then what happened?
We started with 600, and it exploded. I mean, really exploded. But every penny I got, plus more, plus I spent a lot of my own money, and my husband's a veterinarian, so he was donating his work, his medical care, the veterinary care. And after we got going, we gave out to, I want to say, maybe 60 different barns on Long Island.
Wow. You also mentioned, I saw a post, because I wasn't aware of it, that this effort that we engaged in saved over 300 horses?
Actually, by now, a whole lot more than that.
Wow.
One barn had 30 lesson horses, and we supplied them, and we supplied everything in between. I mean, 20 horse school horses, 10, 5, you name it, they did it. And we tried to help the instructors out a little bit, because these were the people that were, volunteering their time to care for them. But what the owners did, and there was 2 stables in particular that I had reached out to, and I don't know what happened, but they wound up calling another horse dealer, and they were shipped off to auction.
Oh,
that's what I heard. There was 14 out of 1.
This is the thing we were trying to avoid, right?
Absolutely. And by the time I found out about it, the auction was over, so I don't even know what happened. I would have gone down and taken them. I offered to take some from them. I did wind up with probably 11 here, and I either rehomed them or I sold them for them. Did whatever I could to help these school horses. And, most people that are in the business, they love their school horses. They do. They love them.
Yeah.
And they just were running out of money. I mean, they were like taken out of their rent, their mortgages, their whatever. So it was catastrophic. It absolutely was. And I can't say it wasn't. It was horrible.
Now, Christina, you run the Suffolk and Nassau Horsemen's Association. So you're really like I would think, the person that is pretty much organizing what goes on in Long Island. Can you explain your role and explain the mountain of challenges that this must have posed for you, because this is unprecedented?
Well, Debbie really took the lead organizing this fundraiser, and I did my best to share it with all the Nassau Suffolk members, the New York State Horse Council Southeast Region. My Facebook post, I just kept telling everybody to share it on. And as far as I know, many of my friends donated. Many of my friends are trainers, and were absolutely stressed out about their clients' horses and the lesson horses that they worked with. The majority of these lesson horses are not the fancy private horses that are worth 6 figures. These horses are not worth very much money, but they are the solid citizens that many people learn to ride on. And you can't put a price on their temperament and their behavior. And many barns will try 10 or 20 horses before they find one that suits their program. And you keep on to them and you hang on to them. Again, their value is far more than the price they would sell on the open market. So it was just catastrophic. And my role in it was just try to get the information out there and try to network Debbie's amazing fundraiser to as many.
Yeah, but don't minimize your impact, because every other word out out of these people's mouths. Christina told me. So don't
I didn't know that.
don't minimize your impact. You are quite impactful.
All the barns in the area as businesses have to follow state mandated COVID protocols, which means 6 foot distance, mask when you can't maintain a 6 foot distance. Don't come to the barn if you've been sick. If you even think you've had or been exposed, don't come to the barn. The biggest risk is not just cross-contamination between boarders or lesson people, but critically, if I go to a barn and I've been exposed and I now give the workers at the barn this disease, many of them live in group situations where 2 or 3 grooms will be in the same apartment and they'll all get sick, and then no one can care for the horses. And I can tell you, I've done cleaning the stalls and turning out and feeding. I've done that for many years, and it's backbreaking work. I've offered my services to all the barns that I was at and said, listen, if a worker comes down sick, please let me know. I'm there for you. I'll do stalls, but it is a tremendously hard job. So all the barns are masks, hand sanitizer, distance in the barn. They're trying to encourage everybody to minimize the time. It used to be, owners would come in and spend hours with their horse, and barn owners are trying to minimize that and be like, please just come in, tack, ride ride. You don't have to ride with a mask, but don't spend time in the barn potentially exposing a worker, because you don't know if you're a carrier.
How do we keep, the equestrian industry running smoothly? Half the classics canceled. I'd like to get your input on that before we close tonight. I mean, how is that's not just affecting the equestrian community? That's affecting the entire economy.
Right.
Rentals, restaurants, gas stations, hotels, maid service. There's a million things, shopping, dining. There's a million things. The Hamptons is going to get murdered. They are just going to. But the other thing is those people have enough money to weather the storm. I'm more worried about the barns that can't weather the storm. That's where I think we have to have phase 2. We have to have outside help, and I applied for for the nonprofit. It's tied up in Albany because of COVID. So I just think we need to get, and I'd love to work with Christina on this. I'd love to set up I'd love to set up a foundation where we just keep collecting money, and then when it hits, and we know it's going to hit in some fashion.
Right.
But that being said, if it doesn't, then we have a foundation or something that when a school horse or barn gets in trouble, we're not here to judge. I had one girl I gave feed to, and she said, I hate you. And I said, I don't care. Your horse needs feed. What am I going to say?
Why would she hate you? Why would she hate you?
I never met her in my life. I never met her in my life.
But what is there to hate?
I don't know. Maybe you better ask my husband that.
Ladies, thank you for coming on today. And you offered people hope, and you offered them a lot of great information so that they understand what's going on. Anybody who's in the equestrian world needs to watch this because they'll learn. And all I can say is I just hope that the future.
Just donate.
Yeah, that's right. Deborah, where can they donate to? There, say it online.
It's on Facebook, Deborah G's Fundraiser for School Horses. It's on Facebook.
Okay. And Christina, any place that people can contact you, or what do you want to offer?
Sure. My email and my phone number are basically public information. You can contact me at the letters C tobacco, TABACCO @gmail.com, or you can contact me at 516-225-5636. That's my cell phone. I live with it, so call, text. I'm on social media. Most people know that. You can, but honestly, I never check my DMs. So
okay, ladies, thank you for such an enriching conversation. Stay safe. Take care of our little horses, and we'll speak.
Thank you.
We'll speak soon. Thank you. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Another episode of The Alarmist has come to a close. What an exciting episode with Deborah Flynn and Christina Tobacco Weber talking about the equestrian industry and what's happening with COVID-19 and the pandemic. Hampton Classic may be canceled, but they are doing their best to keep the equestrian industry moving forward and surviving through this terrible, difficult time. To all my fans, everybody watching this, thank you for watching. Peace.